The world as we know it ended in fire, with an asteroid strike that plunged the Earth into an era of darkness and bone-chilling cold. Yet in those hidden burrows, tiny mammals managed to cling to the thread of existence. From that fragile beginning, a journey of 66 million years began, one defined not by destiny, but by the sheer will to survive against impossible odds. We are the descendants of those survivors, the inheritors of a legacy forged in the ashes of an apocalypse. To truly understand our origins, we must look back even further, long before the first dinosaur ever walked the Earth. The Permian Triassic extinction event, often called the Great Dying, nearly wiped the slate clean of all life. Among the few that remained were the synapsids, creatures that eventually split into two very different paths. One group, the cynodonts, grew massive and slow, while the other, the cynodonts, remained small and adaptable. These furtive, nocturnal beings were the quiet architects of the future, carrying the secret blueprints for everything a mammal would one day become. As the dinosaurs rose to dominance, these early ancestors of ours were forced into the shadows. Large cynodonts vanished, leaving only the small, burrowing specialists to carry the torch. During the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, mammals lived a life of secrecy, diversifying in ways that went largely unnoticed by the giants above. They climbed, they glided, and they even hunted baby dinosaurs when the opportunity arose, creating a hidden, dynamic ecosystem beneath the feet of the titans. While the dinosaurs basked in the sun, mammals were mastering the night. They developed warm blood to stay active in the cool air and grew sophisticated ears to hear the slightest rustle in the undergrowth. This period was not a time of waiting, but a time of intense preparation. By filling the small ecological niches that the giants ignored, they were hunting the very tools that would eventually allow them to take over the world. Then came the Cretaceous Revolution, a sudden explosion of flowering plants and insects that changed the face of the planet. This shift provided a massive new food source for the small, agile mammals, allowing their populations to swell and their species to diversify even further. They were building an empire in the darkness, waiting for a doorway to open. They did not know it yet, but the reign of the dinosaurs was reaching its final, fiery hour. When the asteroid struck, the world became a graveyard. Photosynthesis stopped as the sun was blotted out by dust, and the great food chains of the world collapsed into nothingness. In the aftermath, the planet became a kingdom of fungi, living off the decay of the old world. While the cold-blooded reptiles struggled to find warmth and food, mammals thrived. Their ability to regulate their own body heat and their willingness to eat almost anything gave them a critical advantage in a world that had forgotten the sun. As the dust finally settled, the great expansion began. With the giant predators gone, the mammals left their burrows and stepped into the light of a new era. In the Paleocene epoch, they grew from mouse-sized scavengers into larger herbivores and predators. But the race for dominance was not an easy one. Giant snakes like the titanoboa, reaching lengths of over 40 feet, reminded the world that mammals were not the only ones vying for the crown. Evolution began to move at a breakneck pace as a global warming event reshaped the environment once again. Modern groups began to emerge, including the first primates and the early ancestors of our modern hoofed animals. Forests stretched across the globe, and mammals evolved into specialized roles, filling the voids left behind by the extinction of the dinosaurs. They were no longer just survivors, they were becoming the masters of their domain. Perhaps the most extraordinary story of this era is the transformation of the whales. It is a tale that defies logic, as land-dwelling hoofed creatures returned to the sea and evolved into ocean-reaching giants in just a few million years. This journey from the dusty plains to the deep blue abyss is proof of how quickly and radically life can reinvent itself when a new opportunity presents itself. It shows us that the boundaries of what is possible are far wider than we often imagine. As the continents continued to drift, the Earth began to cool and the great ice caps of Antarctica formed. These shifting currents and changing climates forced mammals to adapt yet again. They spread across the globe, crossing land bridges and navigating vast distances, becoming more complex and interconnected with each passing generation. Evolution is not a straight line, but a sprawling, tangled web of trial and error. In some parts of the world, isolation created unique evolutionary laboratories. South America, separated from the rest of the world for millions of years, saw the rise of bizarre mammals and apex predators like the terror birds. These flightless giants challenged the mammalian rise, proving that dominance is never guaranteed. Nature is a ruthless judge, and only those who can outthink or out-evolve their competition earn the right to stay. On the connected continents of the North, more familiar groups were beginning to take shape. The first true carnivores, elephants, and ungulates appeared, testing the limits of what a mammalian body could achieve. Massive rhino relatives, larger than any land mammal alive today, roamed the plains, while saber-toothed predators waited in the tall grass. This was an age of giants, a time when the extremes of evolution were put on full display. Then came the Ice Age, a time of brutal cold and shifting glaciers that tested the resilience of every living thing. Mammoths, giant ground sloths, and a host of megafauna dominated the frozen landscape. It was during this harsh era that a new kind of mammal appeared, one that did not rely solely on claws or fur for survival. Humans began to expand across the globe, coexisting with these massive animals before eventually contributing to their disappearance. With the rise of Homo sapiens, the story of evolution took a sudden, conscious turn. We became a dominant force unlike anything the Earth had ever seen, capable of reshaping entire ecosystems to suit our needs. We are the first species with the ability to look back at our own history and understand the long, winding path that brought us here. We possess both the power to destroy and the wisdom to preserve. Today, we stand at a crossroads as the great megafauna of our world continue to decline under the weight of human impact. The story of mammals is a story of resilience, of creatures that survived the end of the world and rose to command the planet. But that story is currently reaching a critical moment. We now hold the pen, and we are the ones who will determine what the next chapter looks like. Reflecting on this journey, from a trembling creature in the ashes of an apocalypse to a species that can reach for the stars, it is clear that our identity is rooted in survival. Nothing was ever guaranteed, and every breath we take is a gift from ancestors who refused to die. The future, much like the past, depends entirely on our ability to adapt and the choices we make today.
Look over there, a woolly mammoth.
As we look toward the horizon, we must ask ourselves, what legacy will we leave for those who come after us? Will we be the protectors of the thread of life, or will we be the ones who finally snap it? I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this journey through time meaningful, please subscribe and join us for our next exploration. The story of life is still being written, and you are a part of it.